What's up everybody, Marcus here with Daily Adaptation, and today I want to show you some foam rolling exercises and some stretching exercises for the lats, the lower back, and the upper traps. So what you're going to need today is a foam roller and a mat. So let's go ahead and get started with the lower back first. So I like to use the vibrating foam roller. It feels really good, but you're more than welcome just to use a standard foam roller. That's okay. I'm trying to get something out of this time period as well, and I've definitely graduated up to this Hyperice foam roller, but like I said, standard foam roller is fine. So one word of caution here is when we foam roll the lower back, that's the spine. So if your lower back isn't built up enough, the muscles of the Erector Spinae, and you're pressing on the actual spine, you can feel those bumps underneath the foam roller, this is not the exercise for you. There are plenty of other options that you can use massage with or go and see someone or stretch with. You don't have to do this. But that being said, if you feel comfortable and you're rolling up and down that spine, you're not getting any pain or anything like that, you can go for it. But just a word of caution, normally we don't foam roll it directly on the spine unless those muscle groups are built up to where you don't feel that on the spine. So as a recap here, we're gonna do each segment for 2 minutes. So 2 minutes on the lower back, 2 minutes on each lat, and then the upper back for 2 minutes as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the lower back. Simply lay on the roller, keep your abdominals in tight. This is a must here. Don't allow your back to arch in this position. Lift yourself up as much as you can with your hips, and we're gonna slowly go up and down. So you can probably hear my voice kind of modulating here, or vibrating. And that's because of the roller. So once you make it all the way up to the upper back, very slowly make your way down to the lower back. Nice and smooth, 1 inch per second. Keep the abdominals in tight. So as I get up into this lower back area, the worst thing you can do is arch your back in that position. Keep yourself supported by giving yourself a big hug, or you can even support the back of your neck here as well. And just keep your abs in, back slightly rounded, not arched. All the way up to the upper back, and then right back down, 1 inch per second. And I don't really have any tricks on this one where we're sitting or we're rocking side to side or anything like that. Just going up and down, nice and smooth. Sometimes your rib cage might adjust. You might get little pops and clicks and things like that. As long as there's no pain associated with those pops and clicks, you're typically good to go. Use your best judgment. It's your body. Everyone's a little bit different. So I'm now moving on to that lower back once again, the lowest portion of it, I should say. Very important to keep the abs in tight, not arching the spine. 1 inch per second, all the way up. Remember to breathe deeply, in through the nose, out through the nose. Trying to keep your face as relaxed as possible. Your body as untensed as you can. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the lats. So for the lats, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that roller and bring it lengthwise like this. Extend out the left arm in this position, and now right underneath that lat. Where we don't want to go is right underneath the armpit, right? So right in that joint, we're going to stay slightly below that. You can get pretty close to it, just don't go right underneath it. That forces that shoulder up, right? So kind of play around that position. So I'm going to extend out my arm. My opposite hand is going to come right here on the edge of the foam roller on the floor, and I'm going to be rocking back and forth as well as rotating and opening up. So let's go ahead and get that started now. So extending out that arm, I'm going to rock to the inside. So now I'm kind of near the chest, and now I'm going to rock slightly to the outside. And as I rock to the outside, I'm going to lift myself up, extend out my arm, roll down the spine or on the side of the spine with that lat, and then right back up to this beginning point. Rock slightly to the inside, rotate back, and then again opening up. So right here, I'm opening up my chest, rolling back along that lat all the way down to its insertion point, and then all the way back up. And as I come back up, I'm rotating in all the way forward once again, right below that armpit, and then right back up. So a couple different things you can do here. If you do find a painful spot, like right now I'm on a pretty painful spot, is I can sit on top of it, just relax, hang out in this position and breathe, or I can rock side to side, which is gonna create cross friction, which is gonna break up that area just a little bit more. Whichever one you feel comfortable doing, it's up to you. Just remember, ultimately, we do wanna continue to roll through the entire length. Keep the core in nice and strong, don't arch your back. You're gonna remember you can always have this hand down and take a little bit of pressure. But rolling through the length of that muscle is always gonna be the first thing you should do instead of doing the advanced techniques of sliding side to side. That's where you start, is just rolling up and down along that border. Okay, that's been 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Extending out the right arm. Left hand comes down, rocking to the inside here, opening up. Oh man, this was a little bit tender today. I'm gonna have to take it easy here for a minute. Maybe the vibrating foam roller wasn't the greatest idea for this one. So the vibrating foam roller is much more intense than the standard. As long as you can stay relaxed while you're doing the exercise, you can use that foam roller. If you find yourself tensing up during the exercise, you definitely want to use a foam roller that's a little bit softer. And right back down. Okay, so that reminds me, when you rotate down and you're going along the side of the rib cage, don't go so far down where you go to what's called the floating ribs. And those floating ribs, all your ribs are attached to the sternum except for the floating ribs. They're not attached to anything. So don't put too much pressure. And they're gonna be about right down here. You can feel them, they're the lowest ribs. Don't roll onto those. So as I roll back, I'm not rolling onto those, I'm rolling onto the middle of the back and then right back down. You don't go so far down that you get onto that oblique line. About 40 seconds left. Your body does not like that. You could potentially break those ribs and that would be awful. So don't do that. Listen to your body. Pain is one thing. Bending of the ribs, sharp pain, shooting pains is another. When you roll, you're going to feel pain. Just kind of get over it, right? That's normal. Just like when you go to get a massage, especially a sports massage, they're not always pleasant, but they're incredibly good for you. Okay, coming up on 2 minutes. And time. Okay, so let's move to the mid and upper back. So what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna set up the same exact way we did for the lower back, but this time we're gonna grab from opposite shoulder blade, giving yourself a gigantic hug. You're gonna lift up your hips, you're gonna roll to the upper back, and you're gonna rock from one side to the other. So again, I'm not on my floating ribs, which are right down here. I'm on my upper back, rocking side to side. Here we go. 2 minutes on the clock. Lift up, give yourself a nice big squeeze. Rolling up in between the shoulder blades, giving yourself a big squeeze so you can open those up, and then rolling right down to the mid-back, rocking off to the side, coming back to center, rocking off the side, coming back to center. If your neck and head starts to get tired, you can support it, but just make sure your elbows fold in like this, so you're still opening up those shoulder blades. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Rocking to the outside, getting the upper back, getting the lats in there as well. Everything's going to intersect. It's not going to be perfect. 1 minute in, 1 minute to go. Like I always say, you can roll for as long as you like. I try to roll each muscle group for about 2 minutes. That's where I find benefit. That being said, if you get into an area and you're there for 15, 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. You can do that. There's nothing negative that will come from that. Maybe a little bit sore the next day. If you're planning on doing something athletic after this, playing basketball, tennis, something with your upper body, swimming, whatever it is, You may find that these areas might be a little bit too hypermobile, too flexible. And so what I recommend is doing this after exercise and then reaping the benefits from that range of motion the next time you go to exercise, but not putting your body into a new state where it's not used to that range of motion. So just like before you go to an event, you don't change so much before you go into the event. All right, and time. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and stretch out all these areas. So the first thing we're gonna stretch is that lower back. So there's a lot of ways to stretch the lower back, but the one I'm gonna do today is what's called child's pose. So this is a yoga move. So in child's pose, what you simply need to do is let your feet come together just like this. Your knees are gonna splay out to the side. You're gonna sit down in between that space. You're gonna extend out the arms. You're simply gonna hold in this position. Big deep inhales, exhales through your stomach, head and neck come down, and just breathe. So in about 20 seconds, I'm gonna reach both my hands over to my right. I'm gonna put my right hand down. I'm gonna put my left fingertips in between the space of my hands, and I'm gonna pull a little bit to stretch out the lower back. So both hands over to the right, my hips are still down. I'm gonna reach, and I'm just gonna breathe. Big deep inhales, exhales through your nose, out through your nose. Both hands over to the left. Put your right hand on top of your left hand. Pull between the webbing, create a little bit of tension, and just simply breathe. Okay, coming back to neutral, very slowly making your way right back up. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the lats. So if you have a big foam roller like this, great, we can use that. If not, you can use a chair, you can use the end of a couch, you can use whatever you want, as long as something's up like that, we're gonna aim for it. You can even just use a wall. So any one of those three things. So if you don't have any of those things going on right now, go ahead and grab it and then come back. If you're ready to go, we're gonna go. So from a kneeling position, my arm is gonna come out just like this. Now I'm not simply just going to drop into this stretch. I'm actually gonna apply pressure down into that roller as if I'm pushing it down into the ground. And that's gonna activate that tissue of my lat. And then I'm gonna lean my chest into it to experience the stretch. Again, I don't wanna get to a spot where it's end range like this, where it's fully stretching out. I wanna be slightly before that end range and then apply pressure to feel the stretch, right? We don't stretch at end range. So here we go. I've got my right arm up just like this. My hand is down to support. I'm gonna put pressure into it. You're not gonna be able to see that. And now I'm stretching out that lat and just continue to breathe. So in this position, you're also gonna see my back is flat. I'm not arched into it like this. My abs are in tight, keeping that back as flat as possible. Keep tension on the arm, pressing down into that as much as you can, and simply breathe. If you're feeling the stretch, you're stretching. It's that simple. You don't need to get crazy with your stretches. They don't need to be super intense. The muscle doesn't need to be shaking. In fact, if the muscle is shaking, that's your body telling you that it's reaching those length tension relationship limits and you need to back off a little bit. So consistency with stretching is the only thing that will improve flexibility. It's true with anything. You do something consistent enough, you'll reap the benefits of it. If you do something too intense for a short period of time, you're not gonna get nearly as much and your risk of injury is gonna go up. Okay, it's especially true with stretching. Okay, other side, that's been a minute. Same positioning. And here we go. Putting pressure down, extending out. So now my hips are up, I'm just doing a slightly different version here. Abs are in tight, pushing into that stretch, right? Feeling a stretch, good to go. And like I said before, you can sit in a kneeling position here, that's fine. Just make sure that you are pressing down into that roller. So it's hard to see if I'm doing that or not, but I can promise you I'm pressing quite intensely into this roller, enough to feel a stretch, but not so much that I feel pressure in the back of my shoulder. Big deep inhales, exhales through the nose. 15 seconds left. Okay, so now we're going to stretch out the upper back. So for the upper back, you simply need to pull the shoulder across the body, just like this, and then we're going to lean to the side, just like that. Back and forth, 60 seconds. Okay, so pulling the right shoulder across the body, and then simply going to drop my head down, round forward, come back to neutral, turn to the side a little bit more, back to neutral, lean in a little bit more. Whatever feels comfortable to you. So right here, I feel a great stretch to the upper back, so I can just hang out here. If I want to make it more intense, I'll drop my chin, rotate down at an angle, so bring my right shoulder to my left knee. Big deep inhales in that spot. So if you get into a spot where you're feeling a strong stretch and you can't take a full inhale, exhale, the stretch is too intense and you need to back off. About 20 seconds left here. I feel the greatest stretch when I'm right here, so I'm going to go ahead and hang out at this angle. Okay, switching sides, 60 seconds on the clock. Pulling it across. That's going to stretch out that posterior delt, upper back. If you need a little bit more here, simply just rotate your left shoulder down to your right knee-ish. Full inhales, exhales, no matter where you go with this stretch, always having the ability to inhale and exhale fully and as deeply as you can. If you can't, you're too deep into the stretch, you need to back off. So if you take yoga, you'll know this concept, right? If you get into a posture and you can't inhale, exhale fully, or you find yourself being very short with your breath, you need to back off just a little bit, or just focus more on your breath. Final 4, 3, 2, and time. Okay, so let's do a recap here. We use the foam roller to roll out the lower back, the lats, and the upper back. Then we use static stretching, 60 seconds apiece, to stretch out all those areas. Remember, with your stretches, take full inhales, exhales. Make sure that if you're feeling the stretch, you're stretching. You don't need to be pushing too intensely. If I had to assign it on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you right around here between a 3 and a 5 on that 10 scale when you're stretching. It doesn't need to be super intense. Save that for your other exercises. Allow stretching to be one of those things where you feel really good when you're done and during. All right, everybody, I'm Marcus with Daily Adaptation. This has been your Stretch and Recovery. I'll see you here next time.